It was a night like any other in the small town of Silver Ridge, nestled between rolling hills and dense forests. The stars above twinkled faintly, casting a soft glow over rooftops and quiet streets. People went about their usual routines, watching TV, scrolling through phones, or simply gazing up at the sky in peaceful contemplation. But then, something extraordinary happened, something that would change everything. At first, it was just a low hum, barely noticeable amidst the chirping, crickets and rustling leaves. It sounded almost like distant thunder, except there wasn't a cloud in sight. Slowly, the noise grew louder, vibrating through windows and rattling dishes on shelves. Dogs began barking wildly, their instincts screaming that something unnatural was occurring. Birds took flight from trees, abandoning their nests as if sensing danger. Within moments, the entire town, and soon the world, was gripped by an eerie unease. Then came the light. A blinding flash split the heavens, illuminating the landscape with an intensity no one had ever seen before. It wasn't lightning. It didn't strike once and fade away. Instead, the light lingered, pulsating rhythmically like a heartbeat. And then, the impossible occurred. The sky itself seemed to part, not with clouds or storms, but with an immense, invisible force that tore open the fabric of reality. From this gaping wound emerged shapes so massive they defied logic. They were ships, unmistakably alien in design, yet far beyond anything humanity could have imagined. Each vessel stretched miles across the horizon, its surface gleaming with metallic perfection under the moonlight. Towering spires jutted out from their hulls, bristling with weapons that looked capable of obliterating entire cities in seconds. These weren't mere spaceships. They were star destroyers, machines built for conquest and destruction. The people of Silver Ridge stood frozen, staring upward in stunned silence. Some dropped to their knees, praying fervently to whatever deity they believed in. Others clutched loved ones tightly, tears streaming down their faces as fear overwhelmed them. Children cried, unable to comprehend what was happening, but feeling the terror radiating from adults around them. Cell phones buzzed incessantly as messages flooded social media platforms. Did you see that? What is going on? Is this real? As word spread, panic erupted worldwide. In Tokyo, office workers spilled onto crowded streets, pointing skyward as more ships descended into view. In Paris, tourists abandoned landmarks like the Eiffel Tower, fleeing in every direction as the ground trembled beneath their feet. Even remote villages in Africa and South America witnessed the same phenomenon, the sky cracking apart, revealing these monstrous vessels hovering ominously overhead. Governments scrambled to respond, though none knew exactly how. Military jets took to the skies within minutes, roaring toward the nearest alien ship in a desperate attempt to assert dominance. Pilots reported back nervously, describing the sheer scale of the invaders' fleet. Their orders were clear: engage if provoked, but avoid escalating tensions unless absolutely necessary. Yet when the first missile struck the side of one destroyer, nothing happened. No explosion. No damage. Just a shimmering barrier, a shield, that absorbed the impact effortlessly. Back on the ground, chaos reigned supreme. Emergency broadcasts urged citizens to stay indoors, while conspiracy theories ran rampant online. Some claimed the aliens had come to harvest Earth's resources, citing recent environmental disasters as evidence that humanity had angered extraterrestrial overlords. Others whispered about ancient prophecies predicting an apocalyptic invasion. Few dared to hope that the visitors might be peaceful explorers seeking contact rather than conflict. Amidst the hysteria, however, there existed pockets of calm. Deep within the Arctic Circle, a team of scientists stationed at a remote observatory worked tirelessly, undeterred by the unfolding crisis. For months, they had been tracking unusual energy signatures emanating from deep space, patterns too complex to belong to natural phenomena. At first, they dismissed the data as anomalies caused by faulty equipment. But now, standing witness to the arrival of these titanic ships, they realized the truth. Someone, or something, had known this day was coming. Dr. Elena Carter led the research team, her sharp mind racing to piece together clues buried in decades-old archives. She pored over ancient texts and archaeological findings, searching for answers to questions nobody else thought to ask. What she discovered shocked even her cynical colleagues. Hidden beneath layers of ice lay remnants of technology so advanced it rivaled anything the aliens possessed. Blueprints etched onto stone tablets depicted structures resembling the very ships now dominating Earth's atmosphere. Legends spoke of a sentinel, a guardian created by humanity's ancestors to protect against extinction-level threats. Elena's hands trembled as she traced the intricate carvings on one such tablet. According to myth, the sentinel required activation, not through mechanical means but through unity. Its power source, the collective will of humanity itself. If enough people focused their thoughts and emotions toward survival, the artifact might awaken, offering Earth a fighting chance against the invaders. Her revelation sparked both hope and skepticism among her peers. Could such a thing really exist? Was it possible that humanity's salvation lay not in brute force but in shared resolve? Time was running out, and the burden of proof rested squarely on Elena's shoulders. Meanwhile, ordinary people began to notice subtle changes in themselves. Strangers exchanged reassuring smiles on street corners, united by a sense of impending doom. Families gathered closer, setting aside petty arguments in favor of cherishing moments together. Even hardened, cynics found themselves moved by acts of kindness, whether it was neighbors sharing food supplies or strangers holding doors open for one another. Without realizing it, humanity was beginning to rally, not because they understood the Sentinel's existence, but because instinct told them cooperation was their only hope. High above, aboard the largest star destroyer, Commander Zirak observed the planet below with growing unease. His species, the Vorthax, prided themselves on being conquerors, wiping away civilizations with ruthless efficiency. Yet here they were, paralyzed by uncertainty. Sensors detected no conventional weapons, systems capable of challenging their fleet. Instead, reading suggested an energy field unlike anything they'd encountered before, a field fueled by emotion, resolve, and unity. Zirak turned to his advisors, who avoided his gaze. "Explain this to me," he demanded, his voice sharp, with frustration. "What manner of beings are these?" None dared answer. All they knew was that continuing the assault risked triggering forces beyond comprehension. For the first time in centuries, the Vorthax hesitated. Back on Earth, Dr. Carter and her team worked feverishly to locate the Sentinel. Using satellite imagery and geological scans, they pinpointed its location deep within the Arctic tundra. Buried beneath miles of ice, the crystalline structure pulsed faintly, waiting to be awakened. Armed with drills, heaters, and unwavering determination, the team ventured into the frozen wilderness, knowing failure meant annihilation. Days passed, each hour bringing new challenges. Equipment malfunctioned in the extreme cold. Supplies dwindled, faster than anticipated. Yet despite the odds, progress was made. Slowly, painstakingly, the Sentinel revealed itself, an awe-inspiring monolith glowing with ethereal light. Around it, symbols glowed brighter with each passing moment, responding to the rising tide of human emotion sweeping across the globe. Finally, the moment arrived. With trembling hands, Elena activated the final sequence. Above, the alien ships shuddered violently, their shields flickering and collapsing under the sudden surge of energy. Cheers erupted worldwide as humanity realized they had turned the tide. Against all odds, they had faced extinction and emerged victorious. For the Vorthax, retreat was the only option. Commander Zirak issued the order reluctantly, watching as his fleet ascended higher into the atmosphere before vanishing into hyperspace. Silence returned to Earth, broken only by jubilant cries celebrating an improbable triumph. And somewhere, deep within the Arctic ice, the Sentinel pulsed softly, ready to awaken again if needed. Humanity had proven itself resilient, resourceful, and united, a force to be reckoned with. The aliens may have come seeking conquest, but they left terrified, reminded that sometimes The greatest weapon isn't firepower, but the indomitable spirit of a united people. The days following the arrival of the alien fleet were unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. Fear and uncertainty gripped every corner of the globe, but so did determination. Governments scrambled to respond, military forces mobilized, and ordinary citizens braced themselves for the unknown. The world was changing rapidly, and no one knew what would happen next. In major cities, emergency sirens wailed constantly, urging people to stay indoors or seek shelter. News outlets broadcast non-stop updates, showing footage of the massive star destroyers looming ominously above landmarks like the Statue of Liberty, the Eiffel Tower, and the Great Wall of China. Social media platforms were flooded with videos and photos taken by terrified onlookers. Some showed the ships casting long shadows over entire neighborhoods, while others captured strange beams of light scanning the ground below. The images sent shivers down spines worldwide, fueling both curiosity and dread. Military jets took to the skies almost immediately, attempting to establish communication, or dominance, with the invaders. Fighter pilots flew in tight formations toward the nearest alien vessel, their engines roaring as they prepared to engage. Yet when they fired missiles at the metallic behemoth, nothing happened. The projectiles struck an invisible barrier surrounding the ship, dissolving into harmless sparks before vanishing entirely. "It's like hitting a wall made of glass," one pilot reported over radio communications. "We can't even scratch." Kerosene. Command centers erupted in chaos as generals and strategists debated their next move. Should they launch nuclear weapons? Was there any point in attacking if conventional methods were useless? Every decision felt like rolling dice in a game where the stakes were survival itself. Meanwhile, leaders from around the world convened virtual summits, trying desperately to coordinate a unified response. But unity proved elusive. Tensions flared as nations accused each other of provoking the aliens or failing to act decisively. Enough. Amidst this global turmoil, pockets of resistance began forming organically. In small towns and rural areas, communities banded together to protect themselves. Neighbors shared food, water, and supplies, knowing that panic buying could leave shelves bare. Churches, mosques, temples, and community centers opened their doors to provide shelter and comfort. People prayed, sang hymns, and lit candles, seeking solace in faith during humanity's darkest hour. But not everyone reacted with fear or selflessness. Opportunists saw the crisis as a chance to profit. Stores were looted, gas stations emptied, and banks robbed as criminals exploited the breakdown of law enforcement. Governments struggled to maintain order, deploying troops to restore peace, but often finding themselves stretched too thin. It became clear that the invasion wasn't just testing humanity's ability to fight back. It was exposing its flaws, fears, and divisions. While chaos unfolded on the surface, deep beneath the Arctic ice, Dr. Elena Carter and her team worked tirelessly against time. They had uncovered ancient blueprints detailing the existence of the Sentinel, a mysterious artifact buried under layers of frost and secrecy. According to legend, the Sentinel was humanity's last line of defense, designed by ancestors who foresaw the possibility of an alien threat. Its activation required more than technology. It demanded the collective willpower and emotional strength of billions of people working together. Elena stood at the center of a makeshift control room inside the observatory, surrounded by glowing, holographic displays and frantic colleagues. Her eyes darted between screens showing real-time data streams from satellites tracking the alien fleet. She felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on her shoulders. If the Sentinel failed, Earth would fall. There was no margin for error. "Are you sure about this?" asked Marcus, one of the lead engineers. His voice trembled slightly, betraying his own doubts. "We're talking about something that hasn't been used in thousands of years. What if we trigger something worse?" Elena turned to face him, her expression resolute despite the exhaustion etched onto her features. "What choice do we have?" she replied firmly. "If we don't try, we lose everything. This isn't just about science anymore, it's about hope." Her words resonated with the team, reigniting their focus. Together, they pored over the cryptic symbols etched onto fragments of stone tablets recovered from archaeological digs. Each symbol represented a piece of the puzzle, a step closer to unlocking the Sentinel's power. Progress was slow and painstaking, requiring hours of decoding and recalibration. Every failure brought frustration, but every breakthrough brought renewed energy. Outside the observatory, the weather grew harsher. Blizzards raged across the frozen tundra, howling winds threatening to collapse equipment and bury the site under mountains of snow. Engineers fought tirelessly to keep generators running and heaters operational, knowing that even a brief power outage could doom their efforts. Supplies dwindled, forcing them to ration food and water. Sleep became a luxury. Few could afford, yet no one complained. Everyone understood the stakes. They weren't just fighting for themselves, but for all of humanity. Back in urban centers, public morale swung wildly between despair and defiance. Protesters gathered in city squares holding signs that read, "We will not be conquered and Earth united." Celebrities and influencers used their platforms to spread messages of resilience, encouraging people to remain calm and supportive of one another. Scientists appeared on talk shows, explaining theories about the aliens' motives and technologies. Conspiracy theorists gained traction online, claiming the invasion was staged or part of a secret government experiment. Amidst the noise, however, a quieter movement emerged, one rooted in compassion and solidarity. Social media campaigns urged people to perform random acts of kindness, helping elderly neighbors carry groceries, donating blood, volunteering at shelters. Hashtags like "Are Humans Together" and "One Planet, One People" trended globally, inspiring millions to connect despite the fear gripping their hearts. Stories of heroism and generosity spread rapidly, reminding humanity of its capacity for good even in the face of overwhelming odds. Meanwhile, aboard the largest star destroyer, Commander Zyrak paced anxiously along the observation deck. He had led countless invasions before, subjugating civilizations with ruthless efficiency. But Earth was different. Its inhabitants displayed none of the predictable behaviors he had come to expect. No immediate surrender, no organized counterattack. Instead, they seemed to be uniting. Reports from reconnaissance drones revealed scenes of cooperation and empathy, emotions Zyrak's species rarely encountered among conquered races. What is this phenomenon? He muttered to himself, staring at holographic projections of Earth's surface. Sensors detected rising levels of synchronized brain activity, particularly in regions associated with emotion and resolve. It was as though billions of minds were converging, creating a force strong enough to disrupt the Vorthax fleet systems. Zyrak summoned his advisors, demanding answers. "Is this some form of primitive defense mechanism?" he growled, slamming his fist on the table. "Or are they hiding advanced technology we cannot detect?" His advisors exchanged uneasy glances. None dared admit they didn't know. All they could confirm was that continuing the assault carried risks far greater than anticipated. For the first time in centuries, the Vorthax hesitated. On Earth, Elena and her team finally completed the final sequence needed to activate the Sentinel. With trembling hands, she initiated the command, watching as the crystalline structure embedded in the ice began to glow brighter. Symbols carved into its surface lit up in cascading waves, responding to the surge of human emotion flooding the planet. Unity, courage, and hope resonated through the air, feeding the artifact's power source. Above, the alien ships shuddered violently, their shields flickering and collapsing under the sudden onslaught of energy. Cheers erupted worldwide, as humanity realized they had turned the tide. Against all odds, they had faced extinction and emerged victorious. For the Vorthax, retreat was the only option. Commander Zyrak issued the order reluctantly, watching as his fleet ascended higher into the atmosphere before vanishing into hyperspace. Silence returned to Earth, broken only by jubilant cries celebrating an improbable triumph. And somewhere, deep within the Arctic ice, the Sentinel pulsed softly, ready to awaken again if needed. Humanity had proven itself resilient, resourceful, and united, a force to be reckoned with. The aliens may have come seeking conquest, but they left terrified, reminded that sometimes the greatest weapon isn't firepower but the indomitable spirit of a united people. The activation of the Sentinel was not just a technical process. It was an emotional journey for everyone involved. Dr. Elena Carter and her team had spent days deciphering ancient symbols, recalibrating equipment, and battling harsh Arctic conditions to prepare for this moment. Yet as they stood in the freezing observatory, staring at the glowing crystalline structure buried beneath miles of ice, none of them truly knew what would happen when the final sequence was initiated. Would it work, or would their efforts prove futile against the overwhelming power of the alien fleet? Elena took a deep breath, her fingers hovering over the control panel. She glanced at her colleagues, their faces pale but determined. They had come too far to turn back now. "Everyone ready?" she asked, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions raging inside her. A chorus of nods answered her question. With that, she pressed the button. At first, nothing seemed to change. The room remained eerily quiet, save for the hum of machinery and the occasional crackle of static from nearby monitors. Then slowly the Sentinel began to respond. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly light, pulsating rhythmically like a heartbeat. Symbols etched into its crystalline form glowed brighter, casting intricate patterns across the walls of the icy chamber. The air grew warmer, charged with energy that made everyone's hair stand on end. Outside, the effects were even more dramatic. Across the globe, people reported feeling strange sensations, tingling in their fingertips, warmth spreading through their chests, or sudden waves of calm washing over them. At first, no one understood what was happening. Some dismissed it as stress or fatigue, while others attributed it to the aliens' influence. But then something extraordinary occurred. Images of the Sentinel appeared in people's minds without warning. These visions weren't random flashes. They were vivid, detailed depictions of the artifact buried in the Arctic. People saw themselves standing before it, contributing their strength and resolve to its awakening. It was as though the Sentinel was reaching out, calling upon humanity to unite. Social media exploded with posts from individuals describing identical experiences. "I don't know how, but I feel connected to something bigger," wrote one user. Another added, "It's like the planet itself is alive." This phenomenon sparked a global movement. Communities came together, holding vigils and organizing events to focus their collective energy toward the Sentinel. In cities, thousands gathered in parks, lighting candles and singing songs of hope. In rural areas, farmers paused their work to meditate, imagining their thoughts joining those of millions of others. Even skeptics found themselves drawn into the effort, unable to ignore the sense of purpose driving humanity forward. Back at the observatory, Elena watched in awe as data streams confirmed the Sentinel's activation. Sensors detected surges of synchronized brain activity worldwide, indicating that billions of people were channeling their emotions into the artifact. Each wave of unity strengthened its power, amplifying the energy field surrounding Earth. For the first time since the invasion began, there was tangible proof that humanity could fight back, not with weapons, but with spirit. High above, aboard, the largest Star Destroyer, Commander Zyrak felt his ship tremble violently. Alarms blared throughout the vessel, alerting him to an unprecedented threat. "Report!" he barked, striding toward the command center. His subordinates scrambled to analyze the situation, their voices overlapping in confusion. "Shields are destabilizing, Commander," one officer shouted, pointing at a monitor displaying erratic readings. "Something is interfering with our systems." Zyrak frowned, his sharp eyes scanning the screens. He had never encountered anything like this before. The energy disrupting his fleet wasn't physical, it was emotional. It radiated from Earth itself, fueled by the combined will of its inhabitants. The realization sent a chill down his spine. How could such primitive beings possess such power? "Redirect all available resources to reinforce the shields," Zyrak ordered, trying to mask his unease. "And prepare the fleet for immediate withdrawal if necessary." But the Sentinel's influence only grew stronger. As more people focused their thoughts and feelings toward unity, the energy field expanded, enveloping the alien ships in a suffocating grip. Weapon systems malfunctioned, propulsion units sputtered, and communication arrays fell silent. The Vorthax fleet, once invincible, now floated helplessly above Earth, vulnerable for the first time in centuries. On the ground, news of the Sentinel's success spread like wildfire. Scientists monitoring the alien fleet reported significant disruptions in their operations. Military commanders, who had been preparing for worst-case scenarios, received updates confirming that the invaders were retreating. Cheers erupted in control rooms and bunkers around the world. Humanity had done the impossible. They had turned the tide. Yet amidst the celebration, questions lingered. What exactly was the Sentinel? Who built it? And why had it lain dormant for millennia? Elena couldn't shake the feeling that they had barely scratched the surface of its secrets. While the immediate threat seemed neutralized, she knew this victory might only be temporary. If the Vorthax returned, or worse, if other extraterrestrial races learned of Earth's existence, the Sentinel would need to remain active as a deterrent. To ensure its continued functionality, Elena proposed creating a global network dedicated to studying and maintaining the artifact. Governments and private organizations quickly rallied behind the idea, pledging resources and personnel to support the initiative. Teams of researchers were dispatched to the Arctic, tasked with documenting every aspect of the Sentinel's design and operation. Meanwhile, public awareness campaigns encouraged citizens to stay united, emphasizing that humanity's greatest strength lay in cooperation rather than conflict. As weeks passed, life on Earth gradually returned to normal, or as close to normal as possible after such an event. Monuments were erected to honor those who played key roles in humanity's triumph, including Elena and her team. Schools introduced new curriculums focusing on the importance of unity and resilience. Using the Sentinel's story as a teaching tool, artists created murals and sculptures depicting the artifact, capturing its significance in human history. For many, the experience served as a wake-up call. The invasion had exposed humanity's vulnerabilities, not just militarily, but socially. Divisions based on race, religion, and nationality had nearly cost them everything. Now, there was a renewed commitment to bridging gaps and fostering understanding. Leaders from different backgrounds came together to address long-standing issues, recognizing that unity wasn't just a defense mechanism, it was essential for survival. Despite these positive changes, challenges remained. Not everyone embraced the concept of global cooperation. Some argued that focusing too much attention on the Sentinel risked neglecting other pressing problems, such as climate change and economic inequality. Others feared that reliance on the artifact made humanity complacent, reducing their incentive to develop independent solutions. Conspiracy theories persisted, with certain groups claiming the Sentinel was a hoax designed to control populations. Amidst the debates, Elena reflected on the journey that had brought them here. When she first uncovered the blueprints detailing the Sentinel's existence, she had been driven by curiosity and duty. Now, she understood that her role extended beyond science. It was about inspiring others to believe in themselves and their potential. The Sentinel wasn't just a relic of the past, it was a symbol of hope for the future. One evening, as she stood outside the observatory, gazing up at the stars, Elena felt a profound sense of gratitude. The sky was clear, dotted with twinkling lights that reminded her of how vast and mysterious the universe truly was. Somewhere out there, countless civilizations existed, some peaceful, others hostile. Earth had faced its first major test and passed, but it wouldn't be the last. Humanity still had much to learn, both about itself and the cosmos. With a soft smile, Elena turned back toward the glowing Sentinel, its light reflecting off the icy landscape. Deep within its core, pulses of energy continued to resonate, echoing the collective heartbeat of a united planet. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Elena knew one thing for certain. Humanity had proven it could rise above fear and division. Together, they were capable of achieving greatness. And so the Sentinel pulsed softly, ready to awaken again if needed. Humanity had stared down the barrel of extinction and emerged victorious. The aliens may have come seeking conquest, but they left terrified, reminded that sometimes the greatest weapon isn't firepower but the indomitable spirit of a united people. The days following the retreat of the alien fleet were filled with both relief and reflection. Humanity had faced its darkest hour, staring into the abyss of extinction, only to emerge victorious through sheer unity and determination. Yet, as celebrations erupted across the globe, many began to wonder, what exactly had they unleashed? The Sentinel, an ancient artifact buried beneath Arctic ice for millennia, had awakened in response to humanity's collective will. But how long would its protection last? And at what cost? Dr. Elena Carter found herself at the center of a whirlwind of attention. Once a relatively unknown scientist working in obscurity, she was now hailed as a hero. Reporters camped outside the observatory, eager to interview her about the Sentinel and its role in saving Earth. Government officials sought her counsel on how to prepare for future threats. Even ordinary citizens sent letters and messages thanking her for giving them hope when all seemed lost. Despite the adulation, Elena remained grounded, focusing on the monumental task ahead. Her first priority was understanding the full capabilities of the Sentinel. While it had successfully neutralized the Vorthax fleet, there were still countless unanswered questions. How much power could it generate? What were its limitations? Could it be used offensively, or was its purpose purely defensive? These uncertainties haunted Elena, driving her to push harder than ever before. To address these concerns, she assembled a team of experts from various fields: astrophysicists, engineers, linguists, historians, and even philosophers. Each member brought unique insights to the table, helping piece together the puzzle of the Sentinel's origins and function. Together, they worked tirelessly, poring over ancient texts, analyzing data streams, and conducting experiments to unlock its secrets. One breakthrough came unexpectedly during a routine examination of the crystalline structure. A young researcher named Priya noticed faint vibrations emanating from the artifact whenever someone spoke near it. Intrigued, she placed microphones around the chamber to record the sounds. When played back at different frequencies, the recordings revealed patterns resembling musical notes. It was as if the Sentinel responded not just to emotion, but also to sound. Elena immediately recognized the significance of this discovery. Music had always been a universal language, transcending cultural barriers and uniting people across the world. If the Sentinel could harness sound waves alongside emotional energy, it might explain why so many individuals reported hearing melodies in their minds during its activation. This revelation sparked a new line of inquiry. Could music amplify the Sentinel's power? To test the theory, Elena invited musicians from diverse backgrounds to visit the Arctic site. Singers, instrumentalists, and composers traveled from every corner of the globe, eager to contribute to humanity's defense. Inside the icy chamber housing the Sentinel, they performed pieces ranging from classical symphonies to traditional folk songs. As each note resonated through the air, the artifact pulsed brighter, its glow intensifying with every crescendo. The results were astonishing. Not only did the Sentinel respond positively to music, but it also seemed to adapt, incorporating elements of each performance into its energy field. Patterns etched onto its surface shifted dynamically, creating intricate designs that mirrored the rhythm and melody being played. It was as though the artifact was alive, evolving in real time based on human creativity. News of this development spread quickly, inspiring communities worldwide to organize concerts and jam sessions dedicated to strengthening the Sentinel. In Mitigo cities, massive stages were erected in public squares where artists took turns performing nonstop for hours. In remote villages, elders taught younger generations forgotten songs passed down through oral tradition, ensuring no voice went unheard. The movement became known as Harmony for Humanity, symbolizing the unifying power of art in times of crisis. Meanwhile, high above Earth, Commander Zyrak and his surviving crew members retreated deeper into space, nursing wounds inflicted by the Sentinel's energy field. Though physically unharmed, the psychological impact of their failure weighed heavily on them. For centuries, the Vorthax had prided themselves on their superiority, conquering civilizations with ruthless efficiency. Yet here they were, defeated by beings they had dismissed as primitive. Cyrax spent countless hours pacing the command deck, replaying events in his mind. He couldn't shake the memory of Earth's inhabitants coming together, their emotions forming an impenetrable barrier against his fleet's advanced weaponry. It was unlike anything he had encountered before, a force driven not by hatred or fear, but by love and resolve. Such unity defied logic, challenging everything he thought he knew about conquest and survival. His advisors urged him to abandon thoughts of returning to Earth, warning that another attempt would likely end in disaster. But Zirak refused to give up. His pride demanded vengeance, his duty to the Vorthax Empire required it. Instead of launching another full-scale invasion, however, he decided to take a more cautious approach. Using stealth technology, he dispatched reconnaissance drones to monitor Earth's activities, hoping to uncover weaknesses in their newfound defenses. Back on Earth, life slowly returned to a semblance of normalcy. People resumed their daily routines, though reminders of the invasion lingered everywhere. Monuments honoring those who played key roles in humanity's triumph dotted cityscapes, while murals depicting the Sentinel adorned walls in schools and community centers. Debates raged in political arenas about whether the artifact should remain active indefinitely or deactivated once the immediate threat subsided. Some argued that maintaining the Sentinel posed risks. Its immense power could attract other extraterrestrial races, potentially escalating conflicts rather than preventing them. Others believed deactivating it would leave Earth vulnerable, arguing that humanity needed every advantage possible to survive in a universe teeming with hostile forces. Ultimately, the decision rested with global leaders who agreed to keep the Sentinel operational under strict supervision. As months passed, Elena continued her research, uncovering more about the artifact's creators. Fragments of stone tablets hinted at a civilization far older and more advanced than anything recorded in human history. They referred to themselves as the first architects, claiming responsibility for seeding life throughout the cosmos. According to their writings, the Sentinel was one of many such artifacts scattered across planets, designed to safeguard emerging species until they reached a level of maturity capable of defending themselves. This revelation raised troubling questions. Had the first architects anticipated humanity's evolution, or had they merely set traps to weed out weaker civilizations? Were there other Sentinels waiting to be discovered, lying dormant until needed? And most importantly, what criteria determined whether a species was deemed worthy of protection? While Elena pondered these mysteries, she also grappled with personal challenges. The weight of responsibility often left her feeling isolated, despite the support of her colleagues and loved ones. Late nights spent poring over cryptic symbols took a toll on her health, leaving her physically and emotionally drained. Yet she persisted, driven by the belief that understanding the Sentinel was crucial to humanity's future. One evening, as she stood alone in the icy chamber, gazing at the glowing artifact, Elena felt a strange sensation wash over her. It started as a gentle warmth spreading through her chest, then grew into something deeper, a profound connection to the Sentinel itself. She closed her eyes, allowing the sensation to envelop her completely. Images flooded her mind, vast galaxies swirling in dazzling colors, planets teeming with life, and beings of light communicating without words. It was as though the Sentinel was showing her glimpses of the universe beyond Earth's borders. When the vision faded, Elena opened her eyes, trembling with awe. She realized that the Sentinel wasn't just a tool. It was a bridge, connecting humanity to truths far greater than they could comprehend. Its purpose extended beyond defense. It served as a reminder that Earth was part of something infinitely larger. With renewed determination, Elena vowed to share her experience with others. She understood now that humanity's journey was only beginning. The Sentinel had given them a second chance, but the road ahead would require courage, wisdom, and unwavering unity. Together they could face whatever challenges lay beyond the stars. And so the Sentinel pulsed softly, ready to awaken again if needed. Humanity had stared down the barrel of extinction and emerged victorious. The aliens may have come seeking conquest, but they left terrified, reminded that sometimes the greatest weapon isn't firepower but the indomitable spirit of a united people. Months had passed since the alien fleet retreated, leaving Earth's skies clear once again. The initial wave of celebration had settled into a quieter, but no less profound sense of gratitude and resolve. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged victorious, not through brute force or advanced weaponry, but through unity and collective will. Yet as time went on, people began to realize that their triumph was not an ending but a beginning. Dr. Elena Carter stood at the forefront of this new chapter. Her name had become synonymous with hope and resilience, yet she carried the burden of knowing how fragile Earth's newfound peace truly was. Despite the Sentinel's success in repelling the Vorthax, questions lingered about what other threats might lurk beyond the stars. Would humanity's unity hold firm if another invasion occurred? Could they rely solely on an ancient artifact whose full capabilities remained shrouded in mystery? Elena spent her days leading research efforts aimed at unraveling the Sentinel's secrets. With funding from governments worldwide, she expanded her team, bringing in experts from fields as diverse as quantum physics, artificial intelligence, and anthropology. Together, they worked tirelessly, analyzing every aspect of the crystalline structure buried beneath the Arctic ice. Progress was slow but steady, revealing tantalizing glimpses of the Sentinel's true nature. One breakthrough came when linguists deciphered more of the symbols etched onto stone tablets recovered during archaeological digs. These markings told fragments of a story, one that painted a picture of the first architects, the mysterious beings who had created the Sentinel. According to the texts, these architects were explorers and guardians, traveling across galaxies to nurture life wherever it took root. They left behind artifacts like the Sentinel to protect fledgling civilizations until they reached a stage of development capable of defending themselves. But there was a darker side to the narrative. The tablets also hinted at trials, tests, designed to determine whether a species deserved protection. Failure meant extinction. Success granted access to knowledge and resources far beyond imagination. Elena couldn't help but wonder, had humanity passed such a trial by activating the Sentinel? Or was this merely the first step in a longer journey? As researchers delved deeper into the Sentinel's mechanics, they discovered something extraordinary. The artifact wasn't static. It evolved. Its glowing surface adapted to changes in Earth's environment, responding to shifts in human emotion, creativity, and even technological advancement. This revelation sparked both excitement and concern. If the Sentinel could grow stronger alongside humanity, did that mean it could weaken if society fractured once again? To address this possibility, global leaders launched initiatives aimed at fostering cooperation and understanding. Educational programs emphasized empathy, teaching children about cultures and perspectives different from their own. International summits focused on resolving long-standing conflicts, encouraging nations to work together rather than compete. Artists continued to play a vital role, using music, poetry, and visual art to inspire unity. The movement known as Harmony for Humanity grew into a cultural phenomenon, reminding people that their strength lay in connection. Yet not everyone embraced these ideals. Skeptics argued that relying too heavily on the Sentinel risked complacency. Some feared it gave humanity a false sense of security, discouraging investment in independent defense systems. Others believed the artifact posed dangers of its own, warning that tampering with forces beyond comprehension could have catastrophic consequences. Conspiracy theories flourished online, with fringe groups claiming the Sentinel was a Trojan horse, an alien device planted centuries ago to control humanity under the guise of protection. Despite these challenges, Elena remained steadfast in her mission. She understood the risks but believed the rewards outweighed them. The Sentinel represented more than just a weapon. It symbolized humanity's potential to rise above division and fear. By studying it, they weren't just preparing for future threats. They were learning what it meant to be united. One evening, as she sat alone in the icy chamber housing the Sentinel, Elena reflected on everything that had transpired. From the moment she first uncovered the blueprints detailing its existence, her life had been consumed by this project. Sleepless nights, endless debates, and moments of sheer awe had defined her journey. Yet, amidst the chaos, she had found purpose, a reason to believe in humanity's ability to overcome even the most daunting challenges. Her thoughts turned to Commander Zyrak and the Vorthax fleet. Though they had retreated, reports suggested they hadn't abandoned their plans entirely. Reconnaissance drones occasionally spotted activity near the edge of Earth's solar system, hinting at reconnaissance missions or preparations for another assault. For now, the Sentinel kept them at bay, but Elena knew better than to assume victory would last forever. She closed her eyes, allowing herself to feel the hum of energy radiating from the artifact. It was comforting, almost alive, pulsing in sync with her heartbeat. In that moment, she felt connected, not just to the Sentinel, but to everyone who had contributed to its activation. Billions of voices, hopes, and dreams had merged into a single force powerful enough to challenge interstellar invaders. That realization filled her with pride and responsibility. The following day, Elena addressed a gathering of scientists, diplomats, and community leaders convened to discuss the future of Earth's defense strategy. Standing before a holographic projection of the Sentinel, she spoke passionately about the importance of staying vigilant while embracing the lessons learned during the invasion. "This isn't just about protecting ourselves," she said, her voice steady despite the weight of her words. "It's about becoming better versions of ourselves. The Sentinel showed us what we're capable of when we come together. Let's not lose sight of that." Her speech resonated deeply, sparking renewed commitment among attendees. Plans were set in motion to create networks dedicated to monitoring extraterrestrial activity, developing sustainable technologies, and promoting global harmony. The Sentinel would remain Earth's primary line of defense, but humanity vowed to build upon its foundation rather than rely on it entirely. In the months that followed, progress became evident. Renewable energy projects flourished, reducing reliance on finite resources. Space exploration initiatives gained momentum, driven by curiosity about the universe and the desire to understand humanity's place within it. Education reform emphasized critical thinking and collaboration, preparing younger generations to tackle problems creatively and inclusively. Even Commander Zyrak, watching from afar, couldn't deny the transformation taking place on Earth. His spies reported stories of communities working together, solving issues that had plagued them for decades. He saw images of concerts held in honor of the Sentinel, where people sang songs of hope and resilience. For the first time, he questioned the morality of his mission. Was conquest truly the only path forward, or was there value in coexistence? Though the Vorthax Empire dismissed such notions as weakness, Zyrak couldn't shake the feeling that humanity had taught him something profound. Perhaps strength wasn't measured by dominance but by the ability to adapt, grow, and unite. As he gazed at Earth from his command deck, he made a silent promise. If given the chance, he would seek dialogue rather than destruction. Back on Earth, Elena continued her work, guided by a vision of a brighter future. She knew challenges lay ahead, both terrestrial and extraterrestrial, but she also knew humanity had proven itself capable of greatness. Together, they had stared down the barrel of extinction and emerged victorious. The aliens may have come, seeking conquest, but they left terrified, reminded that sometimes the greatest weapon isn't firepower but the indomitable spirit of a united people. And so, the Sentinel pulsed softly, ready to awaken again if needed. Deep within the Arctic ice, it stood as a beacon of hope, a reminder that even in the face of overwhelming odds, humanity could find strength in unity. Whatever the future held, one thing was certain: Earth would never be the same.